We are working on our countdown app, and we have the difference between two dates. We got a new date object for September 3rd, 2020, Beyonce's birthday, and we subtracted from that today's date, and we have this difference in the number of milliseconds between those two dates. It's just 13 billion milliseconds and then some. And we don't want to console.log the difference, but we want to display to our answer screen, we want to display how many days, hours, minutes, and seconds until Beyonce's birthday. So we have to do a bunch of math on that difference. So we're going to take that difference between those two times, and we're going to divide it up into days, hours, minutes, and seconds. So let's think about the hour first. So an hour is how many milliseconds? Well, we know there's 1,000 milliseconds in a second times 60 seconds in a minute times 60 minutes in an hour times 24 hours in a day. So actually I misnamed this variable. So var day, a day equals this many milliseconds. And then an hour is going to be 1,000 milliseconds in a minute times 1,000 milliseconds in a second, times 60 seconds in a minute, times 60 minutes in an hour. And then a var minute will be 1,000 milliseconds in a second, times 60 seconds in a minute. And then a var second is just going to be 1,000 milliseconds. All right, so those are our values for a day, an hour, a minute, and a second. And let's just make this singular because that is just 1 second. And so what we want to do is we want to take this difference, which is calculated above, the difference in milliseconds between those two dates, and we want to divide that by a day. And that's going to give us the number of days. So var days equals the difference between those two dates by the number of milliseconds in a day. And then let's take that and we will set that to our days label. So days label will be the value of days. So if we do this math, we've got Beyonce's birthday minus today gives us a difference of 13.593461701 billion milliseconds. And if we divide all those milliseconds by the number of milliseconds in a day, it's going to tell us how many days until the queen bee turns 39, and it gives us this 157.32880160 days, which is not very pretty on the screen. So let's truncate that. Let's take days, and that equals math.floor. So we're going to round that 157.3288 day down to the lowest whole number. In other words, we're just going to lop off the decimal point, and then we'll display it on the screen. And that will look a little bit more pleasant. That's what we're looking for. Now we want to take that remainder, what's left after we divide out the days, we want to take var remainder. We're going to capture the remainder of what happens when we take the difference and divide it by days. So we can do that by using this modulus operator. Difference modulus day says that when we take that 13.5 billion milliseconds difference between those two dates and we divide it by day, then the number of milliseconds left over will be stored as remainder. And then we can say var hours equals that remainder divided by how many milliseconds in an hour. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll say hours equals math.floor to truncate off the decimal portion, math.floor hours, and then we'll set the text of our hours label to hours, and we should get a nice round number of hours. There we go, 7 hours. Now we're going to take the remainder of what's left over when we take the old remainder and divide it by the milliseconds in a day, then we're going to take that remainder, and that's going to be minutes. No, I did that wrong. So we're going to divide the remainder modulus hour. So we have the difference. We got the remainder when we divided out the days. Then we're going to take that remainder and divide out the hour, and we'll have minutes. And say var minutes equals remainder divided by the number of milliseconds in a minute. And let's just see where we're at with that. So we'll set the text to the minutes label to that value, minutes. And that should give us a kind of long decimal, so we run it, we calculate it. Our days look good, our hours look good, our minutes look good, but we still have the decimal, and we know how to deal with that. We just need to take the value of minutes, and we need to call math.floor, this JavaScript function that lops off the decimal portion and gives us the nearest whole integer, so 49 minutes. And then we are almost home free. We need to get remainder one more time equals the old remainder modulus minute. So once we divide out the minutes, how much is left over? And we're going to take that remainder and we're going to say remainder divided by how many milliseconds in a second, which is just 1,000. And then we're going to take that and we will have seconds equals math. It's got to be capital math dot floor on seconds, and we will then set the text of the seconds label, which is way down here in the code completion. Grab that and we'll set that to the value of seconds, and we should have now a nicely formatted answer to our question of how long until Beyonce's birthday: 157 days, 7 hours, 48 minutes, and 49 seconds. And it would be nice if this is a running countdown. So let's take all of our calculations and let's do this every second. So we will put this all into a timed loop that will happen every 1,000 milliseconds. In other words, every second it will do all of this work. So we'll put all of that work inside this function. So function and we'll put this whole thing inside a time loop. And let's take that time loop and we'll show that it is inside the on event. And we reset and run that, and we've got an error because we have an extra curly bracket there. So we reset, we run, we calculate, and it's going to show us 157 hours, 157 days, 7 hours, 47 minutes, and 11 seconds until Beyonce's birthday. And then it should count down, and it'll count down to 46 minutes. And there we go. Let's leave it there for now. Thanks for watching.